It's not necessarily anything magical that I have by any means. It's a knowledge of hunting and understanding bird behavior that is probably more critical than the photography aspect. The difficult part of getting the duck photos is getting birds to preferably under 40 yards, hiding and knowing a spot that will work for them to come to. You're driving 30, 40, 50 miles, 100 miles scouting, looking for ducks. You're even more at the whims of the weather than you are for a hunting situation because the sun and the wind have to line up more so. But then to make the images next level rather than just a photo of a duck, but getting good backgrounds and the lighting and the wind and using the terrain to help create framing and something for the viewer to relate to besides just seeing a duck. I've read somewhere that if you want to find out what someone values in their life, you look through their photo albums. And pretty clearly that's one of the things that I value.
He had a choice that he either goes duck hunting or the babysitter. So he said, I'm going duck hunting.
I think he thinks like a mallard. I think he has spent so much time around these birds that I think he really does think about it from their perspective. From everything beginning with shadows, sounds, wind, lights, I mean literally every single aspect of the hunt.
He told me one time that ducks could smell. I said, what? He said, they know we're there. He said, they smell us. They got to be smelling us. Okay.
Ducks, duck hunting, waterfowl in general have been the motivating force in my life for most decisions that I've made, I would say. And so it makes sense for me to want to take pictures of them.
He got into photography probably when he was about 9 or 10.
My dad bought I know what he bought. It was a Canon AE1. And so my dad bought that camera and we had I think it was a 35 manual focus lens.
A lot of times he'd be crawling around in the sloughs on his hands and knees with that damn 35 millimeter.
So if anyone that is knowledgeable about cameras at all knows that did not go real great.
You get a picture from here to 6 blocks away, you just barely see the ducks or the geese on there. I said, what the hell? There ain't nothing here, Look over there it is. But that was, the equipment, and then once he got access to a lot of them lenses, well, that changed. That changed it, and it's created a monster since then. So.
He has like an extremely wide taste in music. You would think like this middle-aged dude from Salem, South Dakota probably doesn't know what this metal band is or this hip-hop artist is, and then you make a joke reference and he like totally catches it, and you're like, I would have never guessed that you knew anything about this genre of music or this artist.
A lot of times when we were young, when he was young, there was nothing on TV or something, we'd jump in the truck and I'd turn on the old 50s and 60s songs, and he liked that. And so we'd drive around at night looking at deer.
We'd go to the grocery stores, and back in the day, there was a little spinner on each checkout lane, and they'd have greatest hits of the 50s, top rock and roll hits of the early 60s, and every time we go, he'd buy me a tape like that.
And he got into kind of enjoying, like the Rolling Stones and them old 1960 rock and rollers, and then he got into jazz for a while, and now he's more diverse than I am, but he likes music a lot, although he don't play any musical instruments, and neither do I, and that's probably why he never got interested in band or anything. So
you were kind of supposed to go into band, just a side note, but that took me away from hunting after work with my dad, so I did not go that route, and I was not pushed into it. I wasn't in band, and I didn't play an instrument, and I don't have a way to express that musically. My way to get things out and to communicate with the world is through photos. Photography never, some reason, didn't strike me as art as much. I wouldn't say I can reach people the same level that music reaches me. But if you can get that feeling out of people that, they see their dog in my pictures, or one of my favorite things is when someone says, man, that looks just like us when we were hunting back in the 60s. And I love reading your things because the stories are what or what, you know, we used to do and I used to live for when I could still hunt. And your pictures bring me back to that. Like, that's probably one of the more rewarding aspects of it too, now that I think about it.
All of the stuff that he is like really proud of and intentionally creating is stuff that makes you feel like you were there. And if you've ever experienced a duck hunt, when you see these sunrises and the hunts and the interactions and all that type of stuff, the birds, the dogs, everything, it makes you feel like you go through his comment section and every third comment is like, man, makes me feel like I was just there, like I miss hunting season, or I can't wait to go again, or things like that. But I think what fuels his fire is the connection to it, and is the deep, not emotional, but kind of emotional connection to the sport, to the game, to capturing it. I think that's a huge part of him. I
consider myself a duck hunter that takes photos of the thing that he loves. And I feel like I'm transitioning to try to slightly consider myself an artist. And if I'm on the spectrum of it, I'm slowly moving towards that way to even thinking of myself as one. Not fully yet, but I'm working on it.
A mí, yo digo que lo que me gusta más de la cacería es todo el tiempo que estamos afuera. Está muy bonito afuera. Me gusta muchas diferentes partes de la cacería, pero yo pienso que cada día que es nuevo está muy bonito y me gusta esto, es lo que más me gusta.
Me gustan los patos.